Hello and welcome to class 8 history, chapter number 3, life in the rural areas. So in this chapter we will learn about the village life and also about the different policies brought by the British government for the village people. So let's begin. First, let us go through the contents. So the first topic of this chapter will be colonial agrarian policy. The next one is land revenue policy. Under land revenue policy, we will study about permanent settlement, Mahalwari system and Rayotwari system. The next topic is impact of land revenue. Under land revenue, we will learn about impoverishment of the peasantry. And the last topic is cultivation of cash crops, where we will learn about indigo, a case study, and indigo rebellion. Let's start with the introductory part, that is the village life. The villages were self-sufficient with food grains before the British came to India. The farmers were the owner of the land and cultivate the land. Only a small part of the produce was paid to the king, meaning that earlier, before the coming of the Britishers, the farmers, they were the main owner of the land, the real owner. They used to do cultivation in their own piece of land, and from the crops that they produce, they used to pay a small part to the king in the form of revenue. The villagers, they were very happy, self-sufficient with the food that they are cultivating. In the situation, that is, if the crop failed due to natural calamities such as floods and droughts, the king reduced the land revenue. So it was like a compensation. It was like a support they used to get from the king in the form of reducing the land revenue in case if there is any natural calamities in the form of flood or drought. But what happened next? The coming of the British, however, changed the situation. Revenue was fixed and collected by the agents of the company in the form of cash. But later what happened when the Britishers, they came to India and they captured the whole country and the village also. So they have brought certain change in the policies. They have captured this land revenue system also. And now what happened? The villagers, the people, the farmers who are paying land revenue earlier to the king, they are now supposed to pay land revenue to the British government. And the British government, they have appointed agents in certain villages and whose duty is to collect land revenue from the farmers and give it to the British government. And this land revenue has to be collected in the form of cash only. Colonial agrarian policies. So here we will learn about what is colonial agrarian policies. As we know that after Battle of Buxar, the East India Company got the right to collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So about Battle of Buxar we have studied in chapter 2, and it was like the Britishers who won this battle and who got the right to collect the land revenue from these three places, that is Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Now, why did the British government, they need such a huge amount of money? What were like their requirements? This we will learn now. The company needed money so as to purchase goods in India and export them. So one of the basic reason why they want money, that is to purchase goods, that is in the form of raw material which they want to purchase from India and export them to Britain. The next is to run administration. To run administration, now they are having a good administrative control in the whole country after capturing the whole territories, and to run the administration more efficiently they need money. To maintain an army, now Britishers, they had a huge army there in Indian territory after capturing or after undergoing lots of wars and all for and to to pay the salaries of the soldiers, to buy the weapons and to maintain an army, they needed money. The last reason was to fund the numerous wars they fought in India and abroad. So as we all know that Britishers, they have fought numerous wars in India with different kings to capture their territories. not only in India, they have also fought numerous wars abroad with different countries to capture their land as well. So these four reasons are the major reasons why they needed money. Coming to the next, the only aim of the company was to make as much money as possible. So that was the main aim of the East India Company. The land revenue was the main source of income for the Britishers. And what was the main source of income for the Britishers? It was the land revenue, which they are getting from the poor farmers. When Warren Hastings was Governor General, the company gave the right to collect revenue from an area to the highest bidder. It means that now, as we have learned just now, that the company, they were appointing agents in the villages to collect the land revenue and give it to the British government. Now, how the agents, they were being like appointed? The one who used to bid highest to promise the British government to give large amount of money, they were like made the agent of that particular village or that particular areas. But this system failed and the company never got the full amount. But this was not like a successful system and it failed after some time. To smoothen the revenue collection system, the company introduced three new revenue collection systems. So as from the failure of that highest bidder, there was another system that was introduced by the East India Company, and there were like three different systems introduced. And those three systems were permanent settlement, Mahalwari system and Rayotwari system. Now we will learn about each system one by one. Here you can see the picture of Warren Hastings, who was the Governor General of that period of time. Permanent settlement, year 1793. It was introduced in 1793 by Lord Cornwallis. So permanent settlement system was introduced in the year 1793 by Lord Cornwallis. Here you can see the picture of Lord Cornwallis. The next is, under this, the company decided to fix the land revenue of Bengal and Bihar on a permanent basis. So the company has now fixed a particular amount as land revenue in Bengal and Bihar. And what were the main features? Its main features were as follows. The revenue to be collected from an area was fixed permanently with no scope of any change. So the fixation of revenue was like permanent and there is no scope of any change. The local zamindars were asked to collect the money from the peasants. So who were like got the responsibility to collect the money? It was the local zamindars who have to collect the money from the farmers or peasants. Every year he had to pay the fixed amount by a certain date. So the zamindar, they had to pay the fixed amount to the British government by a certain date. If the zamindar could not pay the stipulated amount, then he would lose his zamindari right. So this was like a punishment for the zamindar. If he was like unable to pay the land revenue to the British government, then he would lose his zamindari rights. The land then would be given to another zamindar. And what will happen next? His land, which he was collecting the revenue, that land will be given to another zamindar, so that the next zamindar would be collecting the revenue and giving it to the British government. Poor condition of the peasants. Here we will learn about how peasants were exploited by both the British government as well as by the zamindars. The permanent settlement system proved to be very advantageous to the British. So this permanent settlement system was very advantageous, good for the British, but poor for the peasants, farmers. It also created a new social class of landlords called as zamindars, who were loyal to the British. Now a new social class was created in the society, which were called as zamindars, and the responsibility of the zamindars was to collect land revenue from the farmers and give it to the British government. And these zamindars were also very much loyal to the British government. But the peasants suffer a lot under this system because they had to pay a very huge revenue. Here you can see the real sufferers were the peasants, the farmers, who had to pay a large amount of money. Under any situation, any circumstances, it is like compulsory for them to pay the revenue to the British government. If they fail to do so, they could be evicted. It means if any farmer or peasant they fail to pay the land revenue, then they will be evicted. Evicted here means expelled from the property, means that land will be taken from them. The zamindars were not interested in investing money to improve the productivity of the land. Now the zamindars, they only want to fetch money from the farmers, and they were like not at all helping the farmers in producing or providing any good variety of seed or to improve the productivity of the land. They demand more revenue when the production decline and force the peasants to borrow money from the moneylender to pay the revenue. Now, what is the next thing that they are doing with the farmers, with the peasants? That is, they are demanding more money, especially in the poor condition or circumstances, might be natural calamities or drought or flood. So, under that condition, also it is compulsory for the farmers to pay the land revenue. And now, if the peasants they were like not able to pay the land revenue, then the zamindars they were like forcing them to borrow the money from the money lenders and to pay the land revenue. Here you can see a pyramid shape of structure explaining the zamindari system, also called as permanent settlement. At the top of the pyramid, the enjoying of the privileged class was the British government, who is fetching money from the farmers in the form of land revenue. The zamindars were like the communicator between the British government and the peasants. And this zamindars, the new social class of landlord created by the British government, appointed in each villages. The next, the below of the pyramid, you can see it is peasants. The peasants they were like the real sufferer or from they were suffering from a very poor condition, and they were like unable to pay the land revenue, so they are at the below. This men are the real sufferer. The next system is Mahalwari system. Mahalwari system was introduced in 1833 during the period of William Bentinck. So it was William Bentinck who introduced Mahalwari system in the year 1833. These dates and names are both very much important. You can see here the picture of William Bentinck. Next, it was introduced in Central Province, North-West Frontier, Agra, Punjab, Gangetic Valley, etc. of British India. So these were the places where Mahalwari system was introduced. The Mahalwari system had many provisions of both the Zamindari system and the Rayotwari system. So here, like some of the provisions the Mahalwari system have got. In the system, land was divided into mahals. Each mahal comprises one or more villages. So what was like under the system? Under the system, the land was divided into different mahal, and each mahal has one or two villages. And each mahal had one headman. Now it is the responsibility of the headman to collect the revenue and give it to the company. Also, there was like no fixed revenue collection, and there were chances of revision. Periodical revision were like there for collecting the revenue. Ownership rights were vested with the peasants, and the ownership right was there with the peasants only. The next system is Rayotwari system. Rayotwari system was introduced by Thomas More in 1820. So here you can see the picture of Thomas More, and he was the one who introduced Rayotwari system in the year 1820. Major areas of introduction include Madras, Bombay, parts of Assam, and Coorg provinces of British India. So these were like the places where Rayotwari system was introduced. In Rayotwari system, the ownership rights were handed over to the peasants. The British government collect taxes directly from the peasants. So here under Rayotwari system, the peasants, that is the that's the farmers, they were the real owner of the land, and the British government, they directly collect the land from the peasants. There were no zamindars between the British government and the farmers. The revenue rates of Rayotwari system were 50% where the lands were dry and 60% in irrigated land. So this was like the rate of revenue collection on the dry land as well as in irrigated land. Here you can see map of India, and the map shows the land revenue system by region in colonial India. So let us go through the keywords. The area shaded with red will represent Zamindari system, or also called as permanent settlement system. The area shaded with blue will represent Rayotwari system. The area shaded with green will represent Mahalwari system, and the area shaded with brown will represent mixed system. So here mixed system is not that much important. What is more important for you to remember and to learn is the Zamindari, the Rayotwari and the Mahalwari system. So let us come to the map directly. In the map you can see the states of Bihar, West Bengal, then we have Orissa and Telangana area now, which is like divided, Andhra Pradesh is divided into, and Kerala. So in all these areas there were permanent settlement which was introduced. The next is the area shaded with blue, that is the state of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. These all in all these areas it was Mahalwari system which was introduced. The next area shaded with green, that is the areas state of Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh. In these areas, in these states, Mahalwari system was introduced. So it is important for you to remember at least the name of the two states under each system where it was like introduced, and also practice the map of India by taking a map, any map just you take, because these things can be asked to you in exams. So with this we came to an end of this first part of chapter 3, where you have learned about the colonial agrarian policy and the different land revenue policies. Now you are supposed to make the notes from this video with the help of this video, where all the details of each of the policy is like given to you, including all the introductory part and also the 3 policies. Also, stay healthy, stay safe and stay at your home. Thank you.